Morning all. Now yesterday I was playing with my Hubsan Quadcopter, and of course you've got to charge the battery in it. This is the charging lead that comes with it, and it's USB, and I tend to use this 5-cell power bank as my field charger. But look, this is plugged in, there's no red light on, and this isn't flashing, so it's not drawing any current. But if I kind of wiggle this about, it kind of goes bright and then dim, and if I can get it in the right place, it does start drawing current and the battery's charging, but inevitably it just sort of goes off when I'm not watching it, and then it's not drawing current, and it's just getting annoying. So I'm going to take this thing apart and see if I can fix it. Now I think the plastic covers on this case are welded with some sort of glue, but I've managed to work one side of it open with first a knife and then a screwdriver. So I'm going to continue sort of forcing it open. Got to be a little bit careful because the wires inside here, you can see a red and white wire, they're very, very fine. So if I put too much force on this once the grommet is released, I could break those wires. Now, if I move this, there's a little bit of play in the PCB relative to the plug, but this solder joint here, this near one, whoops, does seem to be reasonably good. It's just pulling that pin out of the plug plastic a slight bit. This one seems more rigid on this side. So I can't at the moment, I don't think these two middle pins are connected to anything. Can't really see why there'd be a bad connection. There's no weakness in the solder joints. Let's just put it in the other socket for a minute. This one's still wobbling a bit, but it does seem a bit better. So I'll just touch those with an iron, but I can't really see that much is happening to cause this problem. Now on the back there are these pressed over ears, so I will tighten them up as well. Now on this right hand solder blob, it's quite big, and I think it's kind of almost melted into the plastic of the plug. So the plug and the PCB don't really move relative to each other on this one, but this one is a much smaller solder joint. So I think what I'm going to do is just build this up so that it runs partly into the plastic and all just melts together and stops that movement from the metal relative to the PCB. So let's see how we go. That's run into the plastic now. That joint is almost as big as the other one. Let's just do a little bit more. Yeah, they look about the same now. Well, there's very little movement of the PCB relative to the plug now. That's quite firm, but I've still got a very bad joint on this plug. It's slightly better on the one on the other side. So I'm concerned about these cables. They're very, very thin. I'm going to put the plastic shell back on this because I don't think there's anything more I can do internally. I think what I'm going to concentrate on now is these contacts, which don't look gold. They look, well, silver in colour. The ones inside the power bank do look gold. Just see if I can get some light on that. They look gold coloured in there, but not in the plug of the Hubsan. They look much cheaper material. I'm going to see if I can clean those, I think. So I've got some plastic weld, and I'll just dip my screwdriver in there, try and pick up a drop of it, and then just run it along the sides of the plug to try and seal this back together. One more on that side, and that's probably enough just to seal it. And then I'll put a clamp on there just to hold that together while the glue sets. Now I want to try and clean the connections inside that plug. So I'm going to cut a strip of cardboard thin enough to go inside that plug. And then I found some isopropyl alcohol sachets. I should have a bottle of this stuff really, but I'll dip that into the cardboard into that and then use that as a cleaning stick. So let's just stick some of that isoprop onto the end of the cardboard and then try cleaning these contacts. See if it's just dirt that's causing this problem. Now I even tried folding the cardboard over so that it really got some pressure in there, but we're still not really there. It kind of works if the plug's half out, but if I push it fully in, there just isn't any connection between the USB socket pins and the plug pins. Let's try one more thing. It's fairly extreme. I'm going to crush this plug that way so that it puts more pressure on the pins between plug and socket. Let's try that. So you can see that I've deformed that a fair bit by squashing it with a pair of pliers, and it's now a much tighter fit in there, and we've got a perfectly good connection. So I guess the problem wasn't dry solder joints, it was just that the plug and socket were not a very good mate, not a very good fit, and now it seems to be fine. So I'm happy with the repair, and then if it goes again I'll just squish that a bit more with pliers to get a good fit between plug and socket. It's a bit of a bodge repair, but well, it works, doesn't it? And now it's fully charged. Oh, bad.